Well, let's see what happens now. Yesterday was a flaming disaster, audio-wise. Fortunately, no trades taken, so all no harm. Kidding. I'm going to now switch to the full display mode. Activate the multi-brackets, which enables the risk management trade setup. Stop loss on 2 contracts. You do it in multiples too. The stop loss on 2 contracts is 3 points. An idiosyncrasy of the multi-bracket is you can't initially set both stops at the same price. So one is 13, one's 12, and then the minute the trade's on, you can do the other. First target, or T1, is the scale, 12 points, so 12 ticks, I'm sorry. So in other words, this one pays the ride for the second contract, and you're then risk neutral. The worst that can possibly happen at that point is a scratch. Unless you do something extra stupid and move the stop on the other side of break even. That's so that's now activated. Let's go over here and turn on both, because I initiate trades with the keyboard and then adjust the targets with the mouse. Make sure it's 2, no brackets, add off to get some screen available. And there we go. Going to open here in a few minutes. Crisis is working. The IRT, you can see that the overnight was just pretty much of a slam bang retail soup event, and then it's just here in the last few minutes dropped down. News, there was a couple of news out this morning. Initial jobless claims, and at 7:30, basically not movers, but then it kind of. So this is the micro composite. 4768 is the new micro composite MCVPOC, which I need to change. Since we're opening lower, yet within yesterday's range, we will be open in range, lower in range. And that is right here. These values come from the IRT. These are the levels pushed from IRT, and we're open. Put in our first marker for the migrating POC. There we go. And they're going to drive it up from the looks of things here. Everybody's pretty excited about that. So we took out 2 or 3 different MCV POC. Now this is the POC migrated last month. That's it, and stat for it. So we've migrated up again to the at mid. The minute the market changes, then the stats are pushed to their different location. I will now change these to the session, or the session. Help a little bit. Now we are back. So, wow, open drive, not much of a pullback on the opening swing, and then up we go. So the overnight high is up here at 49.7% chance. That is a pretty common target every day. So far, we've got the, in a minute, the IB high will migrate up here and the IB low here at the open. Below it. See what we see. And I'm sure hoping to hell that this audio is okay. I was I thought everything was fine. Okay. I went to review it as I always do. Sounded like it was just continual flipping before at the front and the end, and I don't know what the hell was wrong with it. I had put a de-esser on, try to mitigate the sibilance problem when say seashells down by the seashore. Get those noxious, harsh S's. In my This is all new to me, this whole OBS broadcast streaming story. I did stream once before with Streamlabs when we were in Kuala Lumpur. And the purpose of all of these streams, my video journal, so that I can hear what I'm thinking and see what I'm seeing, and then analyze what I am doing right or wrong. And with any luck at all, damn thing's working. My goal is not to be a YouTube influencer, but improve my trading. Spend a lot of time dorking around with this. Okay, here we go. We've had a little teeny weeny epoch migration up. This is just a way to track migration or the epoch volume point of control points, because pretty soon they'll scroll off to the left. So another thing, this particular volume profile column is the full session, starting at 1700 last night. This is the current session. This is what data is on the chart. This darker VPOC, volume point of control, is from the full session. The bright one is from the current. Have it. And this noxious looking blue line over here is the correlated market, which in this case is the NQ. Seen here, NQ, the ES, microcomposite ES, market profile ES. There we have it. I typically prefer to have a Windows view rather than the display view, because it will eliminate this business of the nonsense down here on the taskbar and this big white stripe. So I'll switch. Just gives a little more meaningful view. My trading monitors on this, I have a machine I built specifically for trading. Fairly setup that works for me anyway, a configuration, and I've got a couple of 4K monitors. I have a 4 monitor rack in front of me, then a 27 1080p vertical with the stream and whatnot, stream and rhythmic on it, or the OBS and rhythmic, and one more 27 on a separate machine. It's got the ELAB. Top 2 monitors on my 4 rack are the 27 1080p's, and I use whatever else, if I've got something comes up during the day, an email, or I can use it, put anything else up there too. But at the moment, this seems like a mistake. Works out. So that was a whole lot of to do about nothing. We're 5-point range. You would think they were waiting for something, but there's no news coming out that I'm aware of. It hasn't already come out. Granted, it is the Thursday in the middle of the Christmas holiday week before New Year's. So, we just turned 100,000 contracts in the ETH trading session. I don't know whether it's electronic trading session or extended. This morning, about 7:30, 7:48 or something like that, we just turned 100,000 contracts. So needless to say, pretty light volume, which is ought to send off alarm bells, because that's very fertile ground for spoofing and manipulation. Obviously, if the book is light, somebody with deep enough pockets can take out 2 or 3 levels at a whack. The obvious what we have going on here. This is the current session, and that's our volume so far. And more or less balanced, a little bit more access to the bottom. A 5-point range. The concept of risk neutral trading, that trade in multiples of 2. Stops are equal. First scale is equal to the stops, so that a stop distance, so that the second contract is free. It's writing for free. The worst that can happen is you scratch. Key part of that whole concept is your risk reward on your range. For example, if there's a trade that says, well, this is not really setups here, but you've got to be able to take your scale. Your entry has to be at a location that you can take the scale before the first obstacle. Bid, VWAP, EOC, etc. For example, if we were trying to trade this as a mean reversion, well, if we'd have gotten down here and picked it exactly at the low, we could have gotten 32 to 35 at the first obstacles, right? Which is the VWAP, mid, POC. Well, that's just barely 3 points if you're spot on with your entry. Up here from the top side down, got nothing, got 1.5 points. So there's no trade for me this time. That's the thinking. I hope I articulated that well enough to work. And more importantly, I hope this damn thing is working. So let's, I'll be right back. Okay. So we're about 15 minutes in, pretty close. 12 anyway. We just kind of slopped around pretty much all over everything. Here's our IB high. Where the mouse goes. Here's the IB high, the IB low, which are the high and low of the first 1 hour of trading. All nothing magic, nothing special. That's just a name that's carried over from the market profile days. Everybody knows it and uses it, but it's none of the stuff here is any kind of proprietary secret magic spells. You don't have to wear a pointy hat with a star on it. None of that crap. And that would, in hindsight, of course, yeah, take out that IB high, mean revert down here, even though there wasn't the range. So that's not a trade you could take. Going to run down here to the low, and that would have been a nice 5-point trade. Okay. But in reality, the entries are never that good. There's not enough distance or range to the first scale, which is in this case from the top down would have been the POC. So go trade for the boomer this morning so far. Here's a pretty big stat. The overnight low. We're below developing value area low. We're below settlement. We're coming up on the open. Could be looking lower now. Could be looking for that lower stat. There's about a 98 or 9% probability that either the high or the low are taken out. One or the other are taken out in the from the overnight, are taken out in the regular trading session. As you can see here, there's quite a skew in those statistics or the percentage probabilities based on the lower in range opening type. So every time you introduce a new parameter or variable, you've got to rethink probabilities and statistics. Lovely mean reversion trade though so far. This could have been a mean reversion up because there was say 82. Nope, not enough room, not enough meat on the bone, as they would say, to the first obstacle. So there we have it. And we're just dancing around under all-time highs for the ES here. There's, I don't know, it's a little bit. I'm a little bit apprehensive in these light markets. I think I've only made 1 or 2 trades since the Christmas break started. Doesn't make for a very interesting stream, but it's not the point. And once again, I'm hoping that the damn audio is okay. Still hovering around that 6-point range, 31 to 37 halves. A liar for ticks. Volume is still pretty light. We're only 194,000 contracts. Here, 194,000 contracts on the ES sent 1,700 last night. Pretty light stuff. Typical trading day, we trade a couple 100,000 contracts in the first 2 or 3 minutes. We've opened out of range. I'm out of range, out of value. The open is up here. It's lower in range, but it's above value. The darker blue value area, the lighter grays, outside, high or low. We've tested down too, but have not gotten into range. It's not a gap situation at all, but what we've done, we poked up, tried to get higher a couple of times, extended the IB high once or twice. We have not extended the IB low yet. So the next trade setup that would be likely on the table would be the IB 30, which says that, now, first of all, the IB high, the IB stat, the old-fashioned IB stat, is as follows. The IB, as I said earlier, does not, these values continue to change as the market goes up and down, pushing the high and low of the first 1 hour. After the first 1 hour at 0930 Central, these no longer move. They're set. There's a stat of very high probability in the 90s that says either the high B low or, high B high or high B low will be taken out by the regular trading session price in that session. So that's a good one. Now, the T-Lab, which is a Bookmap Discord at Traders Lab, put together by a real good guy and very, very good professional trader named Tom. I don't know, last name is, says he calls himself Tom B. And there's a link to that. It's free. You don't have to have Bookmap. There's a link to it in the description of these streams. Anyway, it says that that it's called the IB 30. And what that says is that in the second 30 minutes before the 1 hour when the IB is actually set, in the second 30 minutes, in other words, 9 to 9:30 Central, IB high or low are extended. And that's got a very high probability, 90, plus 90%. So in other words, now we've wandered along here where it's 0852. We're in the first 30 minutes. Here's the IB high and here's the IB low. Let's imagine that they don't change in the next 12 minutes and it becomes 9 o'clock. The stat would say then that either the IB low or the IB high would be increased or extended to the top or bottom in that second 30-minute period. And that's got a real good probability. You then start thinking about the whole concept of this trading is that it's not just a video game going at it like you're killing snakes. You have statistics, you have an edge, you have a calculated edge on structured trades that you already know and have vetted. And then you're looking for targets and you're looking for the trigger to activate those trades. It's a business. It's the difference between a casino and a gambler. Casino knows exactly what the probability or the percentage edge is for every game they play. And they have specific, very definite rules for the play of each game. They never vary. Their whole business model is to do as many instances of that particular setup as they can and let the percentage of their edge manifest itself. And it's pretty damned obvious how well that works. Just take a cruise by any gambling city and see how much they spend on things, buildings, etc. So they're making money hand over fist, obviously, clearly more so than gamblers do. So our objective here, my objective and the other folks, etc., is to treat this as a trading business. Have vetted trades with a statistically proven edge based on statistically significant data. So know what that percentage is, and then every time that instance or that setup presents itself, and with the identified trigger, take the trade. And over the long haul, your edge will manifest itself just as it does for a casino, and you'll be profitable. More than your wildest dreams, if you want to believe somebody on the internet. No, in reality, true. Seriously, that is exactly the idea. That's what I do, or I should say, strive to do every day. You'll find if you actually are a real trader like that and follow those similar ideas, you'll spend the majority of your time watching and not trading, waiting for a setup to present itself, and you'll have a target in mind. Now, notice that this is the bright POC. So this is the POC for today's RTH period. This is the full session POC down here. And that does change in the RTA because in other words, this darker line is the POC for this full session column. This brighter one is the POC for the current session column. There is no POC for the chart session, chart volume profile, but it's pretty damned obvious where that is, right? It's the higher volume. All a POC is the point where the most volume has traded, period. Nothing magic, nothing proprietary. Boom, that's it. This red line is the mid, half back, whatever you want to call it. That's the middle of the range. So from here to here, equidistant from here to here, period. Nothing special. This is the volume weighted average price. That means that this is the average of the price based on the amount of contracts. In other words, how many contracts traded above it, how many contracts traded below it, and this would be the average price in the middle of those. Period. That's all the indicators I have. I'll call those indicators. They're not actually indicators. They're calculated price levels. They're not a moving average or anything like that. The closest you could get to that, I guess, would be the VWAP, but it's not an indicator. And then, of course, volume profile, which is by some considered an indicator. And then you'll notice that that's the same over here on the IRT. There's just the green lines are the IB, so that's easy to track. Over here, they're indicated on the book map. They're indicated by the levels in the cloud notes, which are pushed from the IRT. but there's mid, VWAP, full session, POC, and the regular session. Now this yellow line here, it's easier. This yellow line is developing volume profile. The red one is the current. This was yesterday. Up here we go today or now. That's how that works. Oh. Mm-hmm. We stay within the 6-point range. We're going to turn the first 30 minutes, which would be the first bracket of the market profile. Each market profile bracket is a 30-minute period, in case anybody cares. Okay. And I will be right back. Oops, there we are back. Got my fingers mixed up. Didn't mute before talking. Anyway. Yeah, so we're in the second 30 minutes. So the first trade that would be, I would be expecting, I guess you would say, the IB30. Now, what are we going to do? We still haven't traded into the value area. Got a big pile of liquidity laying down here below the IB low. Term. It's been in the market for about 15 minutes. And so we're now above the mid. I guess if you were a betting man, you'd say, well, I think we're going to extend the IB high. Got liquidity down here, which is usually a magnet. So that counteracts that idea. We have the POC up here, which retail guys often will sell when it's hit or approached from below. So in other words, we're right in the middle and there's no clear reason to be making a trade. And let's say that we break through the POC and we're looking at this IB high extension for the IB 30. You got 1.5 points total for the IB from the POC. Here's that sell of the retail folks. So, yeah, it's Thursday, 28th of December, 2023. It's another damn year down the drain. It's amazing how fast time goes by. The older you get, faster it goes. So now I'm going to sit here. No news. No. Let's see if I can do that over there. And I can. Oh, damn, I always forget it. I keep forgetting that this trading machine is an ad blocker and I can't look at the investor calendar on investing.com without turning that off and a bunch of crap. So this particular machine has very limited, doesn't have office products on it. It's got Rhythmic, Bookmap, IRT, Jigsaw, and that's about it. Browsers and stuff. I use Chrome. Of course, it's a Windows 11 machine, so it's got the thing Edge. And now we look like we're going to push the IB low. Got a stat down here. Has been taken out, but not by much. Ticks. So would that be a good trade? 33 to 31.50. Well, it's kind of low. If we test back up here again, we did test up here this time. That could have been considered a trigger for the IB30. The problem I have with that trade today is that we have done nothing but mean revert and just rotate back and forth. So the possibility of doing that's very high. Now we're down here we've hit the open, but we haven't come across it. We have not extended the IB to the lower side. Will we? Probably. But unfortunately, without me, even if we took this test, we'd only be looking at 34.5 to 30.50. That's just 3 on the nose. So that's just our scale and the risk neutral. Yeah. And we're at the bottom of a rotational day where we have been mean reverting back and forth. So possibility of getting the scale off and then getting scratched is real. I have to stop and think about the market conditions from the higher time frame and the wider view down to what we're looking at now. And is it worth risking putting your capital at risk? I mean, the object or the objective of every trader really is to protect your account and be able to trade tomorrow. So you want to think long and hard about putting capital at risk, or at least I believe that. So under these circumstances, I'm sure there's people making money hand over fist trading up a storm, and there's a lot of people that are, go at it like they're killing snakes. There's guys that'll have, I probably average 2, maybe 3 trades a day. I would suppose that there's guys that do that in the first 5 minutes. I mean, I don't suppose, I know so. So, there's a million different styles. And then there's people that you see that like this. Some of the people that are, what's his name? ICT, inner circle trader, whatever he calls this thing. He's got such a completely. I listened to a couple of his videos, which are pretty, long and ranting and rambling, but the guy's got like 1 million followers between YouTube and Twitter or whatever that's called now, X or whatever it is, and has been doing it for a long time. So one would assume that his ideas and some of his methodology, his whatever he calls them, models, the fair value gap and all that work because, I mean, I can't believe there's enough of a turnover in new traders that 1 million followers for a long period of time are losing their ass. Somebody. So the point is, his ideas and philosophies, which are completely different than mine or other people I know, like in the Traders Lab or Tom or those guys, must work somehow. So there must be. I guess the point of that is there's 1 million different ways to trade the market. You have to see what resonates with you and then take that forward. This guy believes 100% that there is no such thing as an auction. There's no such thing as auction market theory, that there is an algorithm which prices the market, and a few guys, some guys with cigars in a smoky room or whatever run this algorithm, and they just push the market around for that algorithm. Absolutely says that time and time again. I don't think that's the case. I think that auction market theory is a valid reason for the market. And yeah, there's there's different time frames for sure. There's the higher time frame people, which are trading in a completely different world. And there are, the high frequency guys and the knights and the citadels of the world, who entire their entire business model is picking retail pockets. So, yeah, I guess in that sense, then there are algorithms that do that. Maybe that's the guy's talking. I don't know. But his stuff is so random and gets into all kinds of weird things that I didn't resonate with me for sure. That was interesting to hear some of his fair market value, the market, whatever, fair market value or called market value gap or whatever he calls it. Be great. There's a 1 hour trading period in the New York session, a 1 hour in the London, a 1 hour in the overnight. And if you get that set up, you take it and there you go. It's like if it's mechanical and 1 hour period of trading, it'd be, that's like saying I've got an ATM in the basement. 1 hour a day, you go down there and withdraw money. But didn't, I find that kind of stuff pretty hard to believe. Kind of like crypto's going to make you rich. Makes a few people rich, I guess. Just ask Beckman Fried. Screaming little neck. Cute is it? And his mommy and daddy. There's one thing's for sure about trading markets like at this retail level online. Better have your hip boots on because the BS is really deep. And don't believe anything anybody tells you till you figure it out for yourself and confirm it, vet it, back test it, whatever else, including me. I mean, you're listening to this. Which I guess brings up about doing your own statistics. Obviously, this is my video journal, but there's facility here to do statistics. There's no way to download this data from the stream and do any kind of statistical analysis of it. So I also capture all these the trades and the market data. Can do that. There's some pretty good facility and IRT. Do that, the investor charting package, which I use. And I also have a Rhythmic set up to export my trade data to a file. And I have a old Excel workbook, uh, input that data into, which does a bunch of calculations. And because I've owned Jigsaw for a long time, I thought I'd give the Journalytics a try, which is, pretty shiny and bright and new. And if you have the ability to do so, with Rhythmic, Journalytics will capture your trade data automatically. So that's kind of handy. Anyway, I don't think I'll continue with it. It's $500 a year, I think. And I don't find it that useful, really. Look at the Excel thing that I can, maybe it's just because I'm more familiar with it. Hashtags for filtering, and I've tried to reproduce the same setups or trade plan, call it over there, as I have in the Excel, and of course the accounts are. Here we go. We're still looking at that IB low. IB 30 hasn't happened yet, and we're still in the 6.5 point range. Yeah. Listen to some be right back music. I like this walking bass, but finding copy-free music and stuff that you can use on a stream without being penalized or worrying about it is a whole other world and a whole other thing to worry about. So I found this one set of kind of limited music, but it's very definitely copyright free. So that's why the music I have doesn't change very much. Again, the object of my dream here is to have my journal and to develop my trading, not OBS guy. And they teased that IB low, that liquidity, traded a little bit right through here. Didn't lift off. This level at 31 quarter didn't move, didn't budge. Here we go back up to the top. So, okay, you want to be a scalp guy? Here's 32 to 34. That's 2 points. Is that not enough room for me? Not enough room. Hmm. Yeah, so this is just actually interesting. This is the ES, right? Basically chopping. The NQ pretty directional, to be honest about it. And they got right down to value area, got accepted in value, and projected back up this moment. So that's a bit interesting. They're a little ahead of the curve and kind of diverging from the S. And so sure. So the mic, where'd it go? Price on a crutch. So here's the micro composite volume control. 768. And that comes from the micro composite chart here, which is real simple. Again, it's not any kind of hocus pocus. It's just I draw a micro composite, and I believe the theory of them that whenever price overlaps, it's part of the same micro composite. I actually had this larger composite because, in my opinion, these are overlapping. So I had this encompassing all of this trade. But on the T Lab, Tom and some folks were referring to the micro composite VPOC at 47 in those last week at 47.67. Today it's at 47.68. Now, happened. Why is it? That's how I had it drawn originally, where it's the smaller one to show what the T-Lab guys and Tom were thinking about. But in my opinion, because this price is still overlapping, this is all the same micro. So that's a matter of opinion. But once again, you hear all these terms and your eyes start getting all and it's real simple. Stuff is nothing mysterious. As with a lot of things, people like to make up a bunch of terminology to make it seem like what they're doing is special. Fractals kind of stuff. Yeah. Today's session is a mean reversion fractal within the greater session, which is a fractal within the larger days charts and, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not sure that you should spend a lot of time. I try not to focus on a lot of that stuff because I want to be sure I remember that this is not mysterious. The purpose of the market, according to auction market theory, is to find out what's the most agreed price. And the most agreed price is the POC. This right here, 11,423 contracts traded, is the most agreed price in today's trading session. And now it's just pretty much squeezing together down here with a full session. So it would be an agreement pretty close to the full session. You want to get your ass handed to you, start trading back and start trading off the POC from the middle out. That's the most traded price. So the probability of getting chopped up is exponentially higher at that area, I think. And the opinion is shared by a whole bunch of guys. Right back. Well, my wife is torturing me. She's baked a big, beautiful, fresh, hot out of the oven sourdough loaf, and smell is filling the house. And standing here hungry. Fair. It's unfair practice. Yeah, this is borderline bored. I mean, it's kind of interesting in the fact that, one day the market can just fly and the next day it looks like this. So I have a kind of a hard time understanding how the retail traders can act as a collective. Part of that could be part of that could be a higher time frame, stepping in at certain points. My opinion, the world of retail traders is like herding cats. I mean, getting them all to do the same thing. There are some guys that do apparently front running, have a fairly successful business with that. They work on the YouTube delay. They will enter a trade and say, well, I'm going long here, and they're already long by the time their traders hear it. So all their traders pile on, which raises the price up, and they exit and say, I'm exiting here. And of course, they're ahead of all their traders. So there's apparently that is apparently a business plan or whatever the hell you call it of some of these guys. I guess. I mean, I don't know that, but that's what some of the folks say. Whose business plan is to have a YouTube channel that, oh, here comes Torture Woman with hot sourdough bread and warm butter. And well, I'll be muting off on this one. That's for sure. Anyway, that's what, some people whose whole business model is to have YouTube channels that focus specifically on calling out frauds or what else it is. No names. I try not to watch that YouTube stuff or other influencers. It's can just cloud your mind with, as the old saying goes, when you're up to your neck in alligators, it's hard to believe that the object was drain the swamp. So if you just focus on draining the swamp, you're probably better off. Well, we approach the first hour whereby the IB will be set here and here. Well, at 9:30, they will no longer move. Now we're gonna push up we're looking to push up the IB high, which would be the first, I think, if I'm not wrong, would satisfy the IB 30 stat, I believe. Yeah, that's correct. If we take out this IB high here, we will have satisfied the IB 30 stat. Came within a tick of it here, or two ticks on the low side. Came within two ticks on the high side. So, they're just screwing with people. my opinion. This is called what I believe this is type of trade is called an open auction. There's no sectional auctioning back and forth, and that's perfectly could do this all day. Now we didn't test, we didn't take out an IB low here, and that is it's still in the eights. We haven't taken out an IB high here, past nine. So the IB 30 stat remains undone, and now that we have crossed the 930 area, the IB high stat set or the IB stat is these will not move. So if we take this out, it will be the IB hat. It will be the IB stat as opposed to the IB 30, and pretty likely and very likely they'll zoom up there and get the overnight high. There's a quite a high probability that one of this one or this one are taken out in the regular trading session hour. Boy, they're just toying with that thing, aren't they? Look at that. They got all these guys just clicking the hell out of stuff. Yeah. So are they going to go up there and take it? Now, if I was a gambling guy, one other thing I always try to mention in every stream, so I don't forget. In my opinion, a breakout is a FOMO, and I mark that as an error. That sheet. In other words, getting into this long, looking for the breakout here of the IB and then up. Yeah, viable plan if it's part of the trade plan. I mean, Jesus, it was the whole concept. Breakout trading was the whole concept of the turtles, Dennis, whatever. So it is a recognized viable trade plan. It isn't mine. I find that when I'm start looking at this, go, oh yeah, click, 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 and then it's a breakout, and I mark that as an error because invariably it'll come back down and catch my stop. In this case, you'd have to come clear back to the POC. Now we're going to finally get that IB. That, maybe. And I've seen it happen, probably not today. Well, definitely not today because it was taken out where they would come up and do that and the stat would be taken on the low, for example. Now we have a very good possibility of getting up to that 41 area. Well, that was interesting. I had to go off mic here to eat my nice hot sourdough bread heel with some good sweet creamery butter. This fat Billy. Yeah, look at this mess, huh? They're holding it within that. They pushed it up by a tick or two. Did take the IB stat, so that's a big accomplishment. A couple of people I see on T Lab are talking about how they got their scale off and their something else, but I don't see, for me, you see, even if you were spot on good at this, entry wise, and we're playing the mean reversion, you're looking at 2 points to the scale. The first obstacle, and quite clearly all of the obstacles, are mean VWAP, mid, full session, POC, the whole shooting match is right here to the pile. Got to scale off at that. Okay, so if you're running on 2 points in reversion concepts, then that's very doable. And you got another couple of points up here to the top, so on the IB, so the 4-point hit, so good for you. That's not enough, in my opinion, to justify risking putting capital at risk. I don't think you can mitigate the risk in that small amount of ooh, here we go. Somebody got some stops there. All these folks that were short throwing on shorts looking for a trip back down. It's got hammered. I believe I will do as yesterday and stop the stream at the top of the hour, an hour and about an hour and a half. I don't foresee this market really opening up. No events, and unless some goofiness happens that nobody knows about, I don't see any events happening. Knock this loose, and no sooner than I say that, of course, it will fall its ass, fall out of bed, or whatever phrase you want to use. Still quite possible that we'll get up to that ETH high here, even though it's a pretty low probability. But that seems like the direction we're pointing. Oh, yeah. That seems like the direction we're pointing. My preference is short, has been for years. I don't know. I seem to have the opinion or feeling that it goes down faster than it goes up. There's an old saying that a market takes the stairs going up and jumps out the window going down. But I do trade both. Oh, geez, I can't talk. Trade both sides of the market. But my initial preference, or I find myself tending to look for shorts, which is not a good. Should have no. Really? No bias or prejudice. You should look for context for sure. What's the context of the market today? Context of the market today from the open, rotational. Okay. Squeezed up a little bit and got the IB stat. Now what are they going to do? So they've opened it up to 7 points range, 31 half to 38 quarter. Now this is the current session. This is the entire trade. Beautiful kurtosis. And I need to back to bed. My tongue isn't working. Beautiful kurtosis with excess on either end, a little bit more at the bottom than the top. POC smack up in the middle. Yeah. And no sooner than I say that, it'll probably go blasting off this POC and zoom up to the up here for 6 points, but it's going to do so without me. Yeah. I can't really put these epoch migration markers. They would be sitting on top of my six. It's such a market. Basically, what's happened is we've traded about 7.5 handles all day, 295,000 contracts, extended the IB high by just a couple of ticks. That's where we are. Oh, yeah, I had it muted, I guess. Like, wasn't intentional. That's the mute keys, those kinds of things on OBS are hotkey setups, and so they may, in this case, overlap with the book map, which has worked out good. My only fear of closing off the stream on these kinds of days is invariably around noon or something. All hell breaks loose, and end up taking a trade. I've had to go back and or do a voiceover recording. First of all, I guess it's important to understand that setup, if you set it up, it's a tick box that enables it, but Bookmap records everything, including your trades and stuff. There seems to be an issue now where it doesn't keep the stops and target lines on the chart as it used to. Maybe it's a function of the multi-bracket thing. I don't know. But anyway, it does show the entry and it shows the break-even line. So, okay. Anyway, if I miss something, and for example, in the case I'm thinking about, I took a trade late in the afternoon, just going into the close off the stream, and I'm able to go back and replay the stream, replay the book map, showing that trade, and do the voiceover narration as I'm doing now. Clearly identified as a replay and all that kind of stuff, not to try to blow smoke at anybody, but that's the That's the way I do it. I'm trying, will continue to make sure that every trade is documented live, real time. You can see down here at the bottom on the stream, and it is all on top recorded to my computer by OBS, and on top of that, recorded by Bookmap. So, trying to be as transparent as possible about all of this stuff. I guess at some point I'll figure out a good good way to show the P&L and the trade history without obviously compromising any, you know, account number or some crap that some clever moron could hack or whatever that is they do. Looks to me like we're going to take out this liquidity and inch our way up to that overnight high. However, as I said earlier, this would be a breakout. I won't take it. I am not confident enough that they were going to break this mean reversion that we've been in all day to take this test here. Could sort of say, well, no, not really. Actually, there's not even really exhaustion. I don't know. I'm not going to be. That's where that's at. Wow. Not very warm out, but it's bright, sunny, clear day. It's about 6C. Well, one computer says 6, the other one says 3. So, well, and I don't know what the top one says that's got Fahrenheit on it, but it's about 40-ish. Yes. I don't know why this does that. This Windows 11 machine says now it's up to 9, 8. And the other machine has my Discord on it, which isn't part of the stream. Still showing 3. Now I hover over it and it jumps up to 8. So I guess it's just sleepy. Sleepy. I see some people on the T-Lab talking about an IB continuation trade, which not sure that's actually valid. I guess you could call it valid. We made an IB high in a new one, took out the IB stat, pulled all the way back here, back up and tested the IB down, and now we're going through it and heading north. So yeah, you could say it's an IB continuation, I guess. Kind of a stretch from 37 to 41. That's only, 3 points. That's just not my type of market to trade. I don't think. Light volume, middle of a holiday week. I don't need to prove to myself on the stream that I can lose money or make it, for that matter. It's more important to demonstrate control and a methodical adherence to a plan, trying to reinforce. I think the all-time ES high is up around 48, 60 something, 67 or something. So who the hell knows? Still have one more day left in the new year, or in the old year, tomorrow. I don't know what news events there might be. Fortunately, I can't really look at that on Trading Machine because I don't want to. More stupidness. We had crude oil inventories at 6 minutes. That's the last 3-star event this morning. We had jobless claims, and that was it. 12 o'clock, we've got the 7-year note auction, and 15:30, which is after hours for me anyway, got the Fed balance sheet. Let's see what mañana tenemos. Okay. Well, 8:45, we got the Chicago PMI. That's a 3-star. That's the only one. Then we got a couple of Baker Hughes red counts and mostly stuff around crude. Anyway, I guess maybe I'll have to buy a subscription to the thing or something so I can not turn off the ad blocker, but be able to demonstrate those numbers on the stream and how I get them and how I use them. I don't ever trade into reports. I can't control risk, or at least at this point. Sometimes I will trade the reaction after. Typically, I wait till the dust settles and get back into it. Where we are here now. Everybody was all excited about that IB continuation heading up for the overnight lows. Kind of a disappointed look on their face. Value area high, developing value area high. That means this is the value area high of this particular session. Developing value area high as opposed to wherever it went. Value area high or low right here, which is from last session. And I'll be right back. And good greetings, not good morning. Greetings. Oh, look at there. Boom, fell out of bed. Fell out of bed. So much for the IB continuation, I guess. Huh? This is still within the 8-point in reversion range. Sure. Now, I suppose if you were an extra clever person, you grab this precisely on this drop. And this was actually, in a way, this was exhaustion because you got 373 contracts out. Back down, and you only got 42. It doesn't make sense to me, actually. I would be looking here, not here, for those stops. Anyhow, the point is sort of have an exhaustion, or, and perhaps you're going to get the rotation from this low volume notch right here back up around to the top. And it's worth pointing out, well, that's just because I got the chart dialed in, but it's worth pointing out there's no excess on the top of this chart, even though it's not particularly there. Okay. Not particularly easily. That deceives me quite easily. I'll look at that by mistake, and I've actually even thought about moving that damn thing out of here. I'm just looking at the current and the full. That's kind of deceptive. What Tom often does is talks about this as a fractal or the microstructure. He's looking at a rotation around this little bit, and here's the POC, and he's at a much better spot with recognizing and interpreting that kind of thing. I am. And so we just took out a whole bunch of crude stuff. Inventories were the projection was minus 270 and 2.704 million barrels, and we actually have minus 6.91 the drawdown, so less than gasoline. Same story, a green number, and now we've got the 4-week bill auction, e-bills, in 28 minutes, and the 8-week, and then at 12 a day, Central Standard Time, we have the 7-year note. It's pretty much the end of the numbers as far as I'm concerned. So there we go. Stupid thing. Yeah, they're stupid. TopStep X. They sent me a thing and wanted me to buy a combine on that and try using their new platform. It doesn't work at all for what I do. I sent them back the review on the form they sent me. So that's that. It's you can't trade brackets, you can't do sort of thing. And I find the supposedly it's trading view charting that's built in there, but I find it pretty unhandy. I thought trading view was fairly respectable charting, but maybe it's just the way I probably don't know what I'm doing. A poor workman that blames his tools, right? So I will not say anything more, but they're off to Michael Pattakis. He's done a lot for the industry, starting as the first prop firm guy back 10 years ago or something, around 15-ish or something, yeah, 15-ish. And built up TopStep to be, I think, still the leader. There's a couple of links there on the description for these streams. Go have a look at TopStep. Definitely, if you don't know what you're doing, by all means, if it's not TopStep, I wouldn't use some of them that have just completely rules specifically designed to do nothing but bust traders so they continue to collect the monthly fee. Like one outfit that charges daily drawdown is calculated on the intraday unrealized profit. Think about that for a minute. Just that's the craziest. I can't imagine why anybody would sign up for an evaluation there, but a lot of people have. So good for them. TopStep, I think, is still the most reputable, the more basic rules, based in Chicago, payout, been around forever, I suppose. So I put a link in the description for them. Very definitely get an evaluation or a combine. If you can't make money in a combine, why in the hell do you suppose you should put your own real money at risk in an account to lose? I mean, that's just, that defies logic to me. So there you go. It's my little put my soapbox back now about that. And boy, a little adventure to the north, nothing to the south. And we're past that top of the hour. I will conclude the stream at this point because I don't think just standing here talking about the same old is particularly beneficial. And in my opinion, for me exactly, you start looking for trades. You start looking for the more you wait and sit on your hands or whatever you want to call it. You start looking for trades, looking for reasons to trade, and that just starts to multiply the possibilities for error. So I don't see anything happening. I'd say this is Thursday, the 28th of December, 2023. It's a beautiful sunny day here, a little chilly, but other than that, clear and sunny. So, go out and do something fun or watch the markets, turn off your trading part functionality and just watch the market. Or if you have a sim account, open it up and trade hell out of things. So just get your video game fix out of the way. But I recommend do not put your capital at risk, either if it's in your combine account or your funded trader account, or for damn sure if it's your own money in your own real account. So have a great the rest of your day. If it looks like things are breaking loose, and I suspect that I may take a trade late in the day, I'll restart the stream. I think I've got it down to where I can do that fairly quickly now. Make another one for surrounding that trade. So have a great rest of your day. Trade safe. I'll speak again in the morning. Hopefully we'll get some action. And if not, Happy New Year.